Hello everyone. I'm here. I'm back with a live video. I wanted to take a second. Eric and I did like a nice long walk. We're probably just gonna do some random stuff today, run some errands, stuff like that. But I wanted to jump on a live video and talk for a little bit about, are you getting to the root of the issue? And the reason that I want to talk about this is I keep seeing so many posts on Instagram, so many things going on, just kind of like talking about things about, maybe they have a hormone issue, or maybe something's going on with metabolic damage, or maybe they're, they don't want to weigh themselves. They want to stay off the scale. There's a lot of posts and a lot of things circling about just different reasons why it may be hard for you to get to your goal. And sometimes I wonder if all of us are like kind of getting to the root of the problem. So there's a tendency, I think, that we can put sort of a band-aid on a bullet wound, and that's where I feel like it'll be, don't take progress pics, ignore the scale, don't go to any social gatherings or events that have a lot of foods or things that may tempt you. And it seems like avoidance seems to be sort of like the new coping mechanism that I'm noticing a lot of people doing, and myself included. Do I think that you should necessarily be, in the beginning, if you're trying to get in a routine, should you maybe have a lot of outings or plan a lot of social events for that time period? Probably not. It's probably just going to make it a little bit harder to kind of get in a groove or get into a habit. But even if you are dieting or you aren't dieting, even if you are or you aren't dieting, I think it's important to start focusing on getting to the root of the problem. So when you're out, when you're at special occasions, things like that, do you struggle? Do you feel like it's very difficult for you to remain in control around food? When you step on the scale, is it hard for you to read the number on the scale without having a very emotional reaction? Do you stress eat? Is that something that's a part of your life? Are there certain instances in particular that cause you to fall off your plan, kind of go overboard, act in an unhelpful way? So if you don't get to the root of the issue, the things that you may be trying to do is avoid ever becoming stressed, or ever having a negative feeling, or ever stepping on the scale, or ever going to, like I said, a social gathering. But that can be really counterproductive because you can't avoid those things all the time. So you're more of just kind of trying to put these patches on things over and over and over. And I was guilty of that for a while. So what my challenge is for you guys is to maybe think about, if you're doing that, if you feel like you can't control yourself around food, if you feel like you're really upset when you get on the scale, if you feel like you're avoiding social gatherings, you're avoiding times with friends because you feel like you do not stay in control, or if you stress eat, if you emotional eat, if you do things like that, I do that quite often. You're going to have to find other ways to cope with it, and you're going to have to really get and face those issues and get down and dirty with it and decide how you can make some serious thought process changes so that you're not using those things as a coping mechanism and finding yourself back in the same things over and over. So what you could do, a couple things that I think are really helpful. I'm finishing up the Beck Diet Solution. A couple things that would be helpful is to note how you feel at certain instances. A lot of times we're so hung up, well, note what you think during those instances, because we're so hung up on the feeling. We feel uncomfortable, we feel upset, that we don't think about what is our thought process that got us there. Are we already, thinking that something even worse is going to happen than maybe what it is? A lot of times when we stress or we worry, we're predicting an outcome that may be a lot worse than whatever ends up happening at all. So think about that. Think about where your mind is at, and think about how you can change those thoughts. When you're out with friends, are you thinking, oh, I'm going to be going to this party or this social event. How will I ever control myself around this food? There'll be so many delicious temptations. Well, think about that. Think about those things and decide, what are the advantages to you to indulge on some of those things? Can you formulate a plan where you could still enjoy yourself, where you could still have some things, but you're not going overboard? For me, it's been simply just telling myself, like, I don't need that right now. That's not something I want. I would prefer, in my personal situation, I would prefer to go back into competing. I really enjoyed it. So for me, that's not going to serve me at that time. But right, my feelings are, I'm feeling uncomfortable because I want to eat it, and I feel like other people are eating things that I want to eat. I feel a little angry and frustrated because I'll feel like it's unfair. They're enjoying themselves and I'm not, according to me. But what I'm trying to do is reform that. Well, would it be fair if I ate it and then I didn't get to do some of the stuff that I wanted to do with my goals? Well, that's not fair to me either. And how long will that make me happy? Is it going to be a few minutes and then ultimately me feeling healthy, feeling good, sleeping better, having a better quality of life, being more active? Those things bring me happiness so much more. Another thing you can do is you can look at your week and think about the times, okay, so it's challenging to kind of follow a healthy eating plan because there are temptations everywhere. But how much of the week are you truly struggling with an uncomfortable feeling about following a healthy eating plan? When you really add it up, it's really not that bad. Like, say you're at work all day and there's some kind of lunch or free food in the break room. How much did you went in the break room the one time, so it was pretty uncomfortable for like 5 or 10 minutes, and then you sort of exited, and then you probably just started thinking about something else eventually. So sort of break it down and realize that some of the things that you're giving up, it's not really that big of a deal. And it doesn't mean that you won't be able to ever enjoy that. You can even have a little bit of something. There's always a next meal coming up. So you don't have to go off the deep end. That was really hard for me to understand. I'd have every reason in the book, I'd rationalize things away. But I think that what you need to do, in my opinion, if you are like me and you're finding that you're struggling to stay with something because you're a stress eater, or you're struggling to stay with something because you feel like it's unfair, you feel out of control around food, you don't like how you feel when you step on the scale, if the scale didn't register what you were expecting it to register, and you kind of come undone and that leads to a bad eating day or bad choices, we need to think about, why did you feel that way about the scale? And then you also need to try and just sit and be okay with feeling uncomfortable, feeling negative feelings. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel anxious. It's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to feel jealous. It's okay to feel disappointment. Those are things that are just going to come up on a regular basis. So the better that you are about registering, okay, right now I'm feeling disappointed. I really worked hard this week and I don't feel like my hard work is being reflected on the scale today. What you'll need to tell yourself is, I did work hard and I'm still giving myself credit for that, regardless of what the scale says. There's a ton of other positive things that came out of this week and me eating right, and it doesn't have to just be a number on the scale. There are other things that contribute to the number on the scale, and if you followed your healthy eating plan, you are going to ultimately see results. If you are following, I know for an absolute fact, with 100% certainty, any one of my clients who has done everything that I've asked of them, they've planned their day in advance, they're watching their calorie intake, they're being very honest with themselves about what they're doing. We all make mistakes. You don't need to be perfect. You definitely don't need to be perfect. But it's the people that I notice don't see the results they want when they come to the end of a week, they step on the scale, they didn't see what they want, and they don't have the ability to really face the issue head on and think, where did I make mistakes? That's the thing about making sure that you log everything ahead of time and you pay attention to what you have consumed as you go, and you don't try and recall from the evening. You would be amazed what your mind can trick itself into. We rationalize things away as humans. We would rather not think about uncomfortable feelings and uncomfortable things. So if we made some poor choices, we'd rather not remember that. Sometimes when you do portions, you will grossly underestimate the portions. Those kind of things. There can be just a few mistakes in your week, and the people who are the most successful, they can kind of look over their week and they can scrutinize, where could I have been better? Where could I change some things? How can I make this work? And they're problem solvers. So you will, through diet and exercise, 100% guaranteed, you will get results. And the other thing that I really want to drive home is, sometimes people step on the scale and they're like, oh my gosh, I did all of this and I'm only down like half a pound. I want you guys to celebrate all the small wins. Even if you're only down half a pound, it doesn't matter how long it takes for you to get to your goal. The habits that you're putting in, you will have to eat this way, and you will have to be conscious and mindful of healthy eating. You will have to focus on portion control. You will have to focus on changing in your mind your level of fullness. For me, my level of fullness and when I'm the most comfortable is when I'm kind of like when I overeat, when I'm overstuffed. So what I've been working on is kind of focusing on I am full at this point and stopping what I'm doing. So this is stuff that we have to kind of reset, retrain our brain. So you're going to be doing this for the long haul. This is going to be like a lifelong thing. So the easier, like the more you focus on the activities that you need to do each day, and the less you focus on like, am I there yet? Am I there yet? Am I there yet? The easier it's all gonna go, I promise. So the challenge for this week is focus on the small habits. Focus on the small things that you can change and what you can do to make your life easier and your schedule easier. The number one thing you can do is plan in advance of what you're going to eat. I have never found anyone successful. The reason that you have a new goal is typically like spontaneous eating's not working for you. Something's going on. You're gonna have to change what you're doing and you're gonna have to create a plan. So plan out what you're going to eat because then you're gonna be left to decisions. Are there some times where I'm like, oh, I don't really feel like having chicken and sweet potatoes? Of course. There's times that I would rather eat a donut for dinner. Of course, that happens. But are there times at night that you ever think about, should I brush my teeth tonight? You probably never think that way. This is just something you do because some parts of anything that are, responsibility, taking care of your health, taking care of your well-being, not eating cake for breakfast every day like we usually want to do. Some of that is it's just a habit you're going to have to form. There is some food that you might get sick of. There's 1,000 recipes on the VIP site. You can switch it up. You can change things. But you're never going to be able to eat low quality foods all of the time and be healthy and reach your goal. You might be able to get away with higher calories and fitting those things more often when you're at maintenance, and it will be easier in that token. But getting in the habit of making these healthy choices on a regular basis, regardless of what your goal is, I think that that's what's going to make it so much easier. And after a while, it's going to be easier to resist things. I think that the most challenging for me is getting back these healthy habits that I kind of gave up when I was reverse dieting and flexible dieting, where I ate a lot more low quality foods than I ever let myself eat. I ate like the Hostess cupcakes, a lot of packaged stuff. I had it every day. And now my mind thinks that we should have that every single day. But I'm trying to now focus less on my aesthetic goals and more on getting back the healthy habits that are going to make things go a lot easier. So that's what I'm thinking today. That's what Eric and I were kind of talking about on our walk. I know a lot of people really hate doing pictures of themselves. They hate doing the scale. They hate those kinds of things. But it would be really awesome if we can focus more on like why. Why do you feel that way? What are the thoughts going through your mind? How can we change some of that thinking? How can you address some of the self-sabotage that may be going through your mind or the negative thinking that you have about yourself? Before you step on the scale, can you prep yourself? Okay, hey, Carrie, if I step on the scale and it's going to be up a pound and I know I did everything, I'm going to realize that I'm not going to be upset about it. I'm going to go about the day as it is and I'm just going to take it as a point of data. If I notice that it's down a lot more than usual and I'm super excited, I also need to say to myself, okay, Carrie, that was a really weird reading. That was a lot lower. There's a chance that it's going to go back up because I'm probably only going to lose a half pound to a pound of body fat a week. So I need to be realistic and keep myself where it's at. If it stays the same, I need to remember to not think this is all for nothing. This didn't work. Those kind of things. Keep focusing on changing some of the bad thought patterns that are kind of holding you back from reaching your goal. The scale isn't holding you back. The actual activity isn't holding you back. It's what you're thinking about dieting, food, if you feel restricted, where your mind's at with it, okay? So I hope that was a little bit helpful. That's what I've been working on, and I like to keep you guys in the loop with what I'm working on. I'll let you know, kind of anonymously what's going on with some of my clients, like what's making them successful. The ones that I see that are the most successful, they plan their day in advance. They eat the same thing for a few days in a row, and they're problem solvers. They're never like, I'm just too busy. I'm just too this. I promise everybody that's watching this video, anyone who ever watches this video, there is someone out there busier with a crazier schedule with more stuff going on, more trauma, more turmoil, more stress, more heartache, more anything that is doing things to make sure that they're healthy still. So I know you can do it too. If anyone else can do it, we can do it. And I say that to myself too because I'm a huge stress eater. If other people can manage really stressful things in a positive way, I can learn how to do that too. That's the beauty of all of this. You can learn how to do it. If you have things that you've been doing for years and years and years and years, or your whole entire life, you can still make changes. It's possible. You just have to have the right attitude, and you have to be a problem solver. So I'll talk to you guys later, and I hope you have an amazing Sunday.